Hi everyone, welcome back another session of electronic device. Today we are going to discuss about some secondary effect on the bipolar transistor. In whole analysis what we have seen so far, assume that entire semiconductor is uniformly doped region. We have a emitter junction and base and collector. We have emitter, collector and base regions. And what we have assumed that emitter junction is highly doped, but it is uniformly highly doped, and base region is lightly doped, but it is again uniformly doped, and the collector region is moderately doped and it is again a uniformly doped regions. But in practical, what is the scenario? Uniform doping rarely occurs. Okay, so you can see one figure over here. In this figure we are representing, showing, the figure shows a doping profile of a PNP transistor. Okay, look at this diagram. In x axis distance and y axis we have taken doping concentration. Okay, so initially assume we have a material, we have a semiconductor material, germanium or silicon material, and it's an intrinsic material. Okay, and we are adding acceptor atom to that. We are diffusing acceptor atom. Okay, but it is uniformly doped p-type substrate. So when we add acceptor atom to the semiconductor, so what we'll get a p-type semiconductor, and the initial stage we are doing a uniform doping throughout the semiconductor. You can see this. It's a profile, concentration profile. You can see we are adding acceptor atom to the semiconductor and we are getting it's a uniformly doped region. Okay, the entire semiconductor is uniformly doped. Entire semiconductor is uniformly doped. So we have a p-type substrate now. P-type substrate. See next, and now what we are doing, and we are diffusing some donor atom on this uniformly doped p-type substrate. Okay, what we are doing, we are diffusing donor atom on the surface of uniformly doped p-type semiconductor in order to get N region. Now we have a P region over here, right? We have a P region over here, and our transistor is PNP. So we have a P region over here, and we are diffusing donor atom on this semiconductor. Okay, and what we'll get? We are actually doing something here like this. Okay, so this is my N region, and you can see the doping profile. You look at this region, doping profile of donor atom is far less than the acceptor atom here. So we will get a p-type material over here and a p-type material here, right? And here we have a n-type region. Now we have n-type because the concentration of donor atom is more here compared to acceptor atom. So this entire semiconductor area will be, okay, n-type material. So we'll get a n-type material. This is actually the profile, and here you can see the cross section of the particular semiconductor. The entire area initially it was p-type material, and now I have diffused donor atom on the surface. Okay, so I get some p-type area over here. Yes, and this is my p-type area now, sorry, n-type area now. What is the next I am doing, right? The diffusion, you can see it's not a uniform. Initially that acceptor atom we have doped that semiconductor using acceptor atom uniformly, but now you see doping with the donor atom, it's not uniform. You can see the profile, it's exponentially positive exponential reducing, right? Okay, you can see like this n-type material we got. And now what we do, we doped with acceptor atom, the concentration is more. So that n area I will be getting one more small region, I change the color. On the n area I will get another one more region, that is my highly doped p region. Highly doped p region. Let me draw it again. This is my highly doped p region. The concentration of acceptor atom is very large compared to the donor atom. So this area become highly doped p region, highly doped p region. Okay, and in between the highly doped p region and moderately doped p region, you can see that material is n type. So that I will get a PNP, P plus NP transistor here. If you assume this is actually the origin, and if I transfer this point to this diagram, this will be the point 0, and this is actually towards, if you travel down, here it is traveling on x axis, corresponds to traveling downward. So you will get a highly doped p region, okay, highly doped p region, and this n region, and again a p region. Again you can see the sharp changes over here. Okay, so if I mark one point over here and another point over here, so between these points you can see a large difference in the doping concentration. Okay, so here the Norder concentration in the base region becomes smaller than the constant p-type background doping in the collector. The same diagram which I have shown before, all together you can see highly doped p region and n region, and this is the point that we represent 0, and the corresponding that point, if I mentioned here, this is actually 0. And what is that doping concentration here? Here we have a Na and here we have a Nd. So take a difference between these two gives you actually the net doping concentration in the base region. Okay, so I need to introduce this first in order to explain drifting property. Okay, drift in the base. And now I need to concentrate only on the base region. Okay, look at the base region, only on the base region, only this area I am enlarging, only this area I am enlarging. So you can see the base width 0 and the WB and the concentration profile, okay, it's reduced like this. And when we compare the previous diagram and this diagram, you can see here it is exponential, negative exponential, right? So it is down. In previous diagram it's something like this, isn't it? And now the diagram is like this. Why this difference? Because so when I add a donor impurity on the p-type material, definitely some of the electron is going to recombine with the holes which is already available in the base semiconductor, and finally after some times we will get a concentration profile like this only. Okay. Now One important thing you should remember this: the doping concentration is not uniformly distributed in the base region. It is reducing from emitter to collector. What is emitter? This is actually emitter junction. This point is emitter junction and this point is collector junction. If you look at this diagram, you can make out P, N, P, and this is emitter junction. Okay, this is a collector junction. If I take, this is my collector junction, this is my emitter junction and a collector junction. Okay, highly doped P, lightly doped N, and moderately doped P again here. So in that case, the graded base region is graded nothing but the doping concentration is gradually reducing from emitter junction to collector junction because of, and this side is strong P, okay, and this side is actually potential is less. So the strong P, and here this side is potentially less compared to the emitter region. This is collector region, right? So that it is less compared to the emitter region. So there will be a electric field, inbuilt electric field existed in this direction in the base region. This is a new information to us, and before what we learned in the PNP transistor, the electric field existing in the transition region at emitter junction and at the transition region at the collector. This is what we learned, and now one more information to you: there will be inbuilt electric field throughout the base region because of the sharp change in the concentration profile from emitter to base to collector. Okay, so that strong electric field is there, inbuilt electric field. Okay, we know that holes are injecting from holes are injecting from emitter. The holes will cross this junction, right? Once it reach over here, it will go to the base region. As far as the base region concerned, the holes are the minority charges. Since the base region is very small and the length is less than the diffusion length of the hole, it will reach to the transition region of collector junction and goes to the collector. This is what we learned. And now according to this theory, there is another electric field in the same direction of the previous electric, which is in the transition region, that actually takes the collector to take the hole from emitter to collector very fast. So the transit time between the emitter to collector, the transit time of holes, that means time taken to travel from emitter to collector by a hole, that is the transit time, it is going to be very less. So that I can use this property in positive way, so we call it as accelerating field. So the transition of hole from emitter to collector going to be fast, because of the inbuilt electric field available inside the base. So that movement is not a diffusion basically, because electric field is going to swipe the hole from emitter to collector. So it's a drag, right? Okay, drift, I can call it as a drift. Okay, so this is actually the drift current. The current due to this phenomena is known as drift current. Okay, so look at this point, the induced electric field in the base because of non-uniform doping, very important, because of non-uniform doping, produce a force on the holes in the direction towards the collector. Okay, the direction towards the collector. This is my collector, this is my emitter, and this is my base. If I mark these three regions in this profile figure, the induced electric field causes the flow of minority carriers across the base region. Why do we use the term minority carriers? Because holes are minority carriers in the base region. Okay, the electric field is called accelerating this actually give a positive response towards that. And see the emitter current, okay, IE, and the holes are fastly moving towards the collector, so that actually gives you the collector current. So it is accelerating field will improve the collector current. Okay, what I can say, we'll see the next slide. Okay, the accelerating field produces a drift component of current that is in addition to the existing diffusion current. What we have learned before is diffusion current, isn't it? If you remember, that current is not going to change, that current will be there. Apart from that, this drift current also going to be there inside the semiconductor. Since the minority carrier concentration varies across the base, the drift current density will not be constant. Remember the drift current will not be constant, because the minority charge carrier concentration inside the base is varies. Okay, what is a minority charge carriers as far as the base concerns? Holes. Okay, the hole concentration we have learned before, the hole concentration is not uniform. If you remember the previous class, when I take Ebers-Moll equation, we have explained the minority charge carrier concentration inside the base, or hole concentration inside the base region. Okay, it's not uniformly distributed throughout the base region, isn't it? So because of that, the drift current is not a constant. But thing is that the total current, because of the drift and diffusion, going to be a constant value. If I add together, okay, it's going to be a constant current. So we just see some equations of the total current. This is the current because of electron movement. Current is always because of the electron movement. Even if we explain in terms of hole, current is because of electron only, right? So there will be two current, one is diffusion current and drift current, and this component of the current, since there is an electric field, this is drift. This is a drift current. Okay, so here you can see it's a diffusion current. This will be the total current inside the semiconductor. Okay, at equilibrium we know that the total current is equal to 0. That's why I mentioned 0 here. This condition I have written at equilibrium condition, right? The total current will be the sum of drift and diffusion in all other cases, but in the equilibrium state the total current will be 0. Then what I can write, the drift current plus diffusion current is equal to 0. And look at this, each term I have given here, In x of n is the total current because of electron, and Q is electron charge, and area, A is area of cross sectional area of cross section, and mu and mobility of electron, and the doping concentration of electron. Okay, and Dn is the diffusion coefficient of electron, and epsilon is electric field, and d by dxn of n xn is a change in doping concentration in the base region. It's a continuously changing, right? So we are taking a small dxn, small area, and respective the doping constant. If you take, this is only way we can represent that, d by dxn of n xn. Okay. If that at equilibrium, if this is the case, I can equate that. Okay, and finally I can find out the expression for epsilon x. What I did over here, okay, since it is 0, I can equate these two. Isn't it? Q a mu n into n of x of n epsilon x of n is equal to Q a d n d by dxn of n x of n. I can equate this since it is 0. Okay, then I can find out expression for epsilon n. Okay, so q and q will cancel each other, a and a will cancel each other. So if I do the rearrangement, I'll get epsilon xn is equal to minus dn by mu n 1 by n of xn into d by dxn of nxn. So if I simplify, this is actually concentration, so we need to change it to familiar expressions. Dn by mu n I can replace with kT by q, we know this before, alright. So the expression of electric field, inbuilt electric field inside the semiconductor, not if I specify more inside the base region is kT by q into 1 by n x of n into d by dxn of nxn. Okay. So that is actually the drift. The drift in a base because of existing electric field. That existing electric field because of the non-uniform doping inside the base region. And you should remember the doping profile of PNP bipolar junction transistor. Okay, in exam point of view, you need to draw the diagram and write the expressions and the basic theory how the field is exist inside the base region. Okay. So moving to the next secondary effect is base narrowing. Okay, this is very simple. These things already explained, you know these things before itself. But again, as a secondary effect, I need to take it here. Okay, we have assumed that the effective base width WB is independent of the base voltage applied to the collector and emitter junction. It's quite common when we see that normal active mode. If PNP transistor is biased in normal active mode, we know that emitter junction is forward biased and collector junction is reverse biased, and whatever the voltage we apply across the region doesn't affect the width of the base region. So we know the width of the base region is this, okay, width of the base region that we have seen before. Okay, it won't affect much, and that assumption not always valid, because if I apply a more reverse bias to the collector junction, we know this is a lightly doped region, the base is lightly doped region, very lightly doped region compared to the region existing in both sides. Okay, so the depletion region will encroach more towards the base region always, base region, because that lightly doped, right. So if I apply a reverse biasing condition like this, VCB, collector to base voltage is far less than minus kT by q. Okay, what will happen here? That means we are increasing the reverse voltage. If I increase the reverse voltage, we know the depletion region going to be large. But here the depletion region going to be large, but encroaching, how it become wider and where it find a space to become more wider, it's going to be encroach towards the in base region, right. The more base region going to be the part of transition region. So what will happen? This is actually normal thing. If you increase the biasing, reverse biasing, that base width is going to be narrowed. Before it was, the width is this much, now the width is reduced. That's what I told here. In normal active mode, if the base region is lightly doped, the depletion region at the reverse bias collector junction can extend significantly into the n-type base region. And some expressions you can see over here. If the total length, if I take a LB, and if I take this is a L, and this width is equal to LB minus L, and L is proportional to square root of the voltage applied across the base and collector. That's what same thing explained here. As collector voltage is increased, the space charge layer take up more of the width of the base LB. As the result, the effective base width WB is decreased. This effect is variously called base narrowing. Okay. So, this may be called base narrowing, base width modulation and the early effect. Okay, decrease in WB causes beta to increase. As a result, the IC collector current increases. Why collector current is increasing? Okay. If the base is becoming more narrowing more and more, how much the holes injecting from the emitter going to reach collector. Okay, so beta value is going to be more. The more number of holes are going to reach to the collector and IC value increases. And if I still more increasing the reverse bias, okay, the entire base width going to be a transition region. Okay, that leads to kind of breakdown, avalanche breakdown. Okay, this is basically base narrowing. So, in this session we have learned two things. One is drift in the base, second one is base narrowing, or we call it as base width modulation, or we call it as early effect. Okay. Thank you guys.